Nice to see everyone. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. And it's 25 degrees again, so we're baking. We've got your water next to you, ready to go?
Been roasting. Fabulous. No, I haven't, but I'm ready to go anyway.
Brilliant. Right, straight into number one, which is last weekend. And we both attended this event. It was outside the Drax estate, and hundreds of us turned up as part of a campaign to persuade him, shall we say, to hand back his estate in Barbados, which was taken during the period of slavery back in the 17th and 18th centuries. And the Barbadian people want it back. But he's, not unsurprising, I guess, because of who he is very reluctant. It was a good day, though, wasn't it? It was really very hot, but very good.
Yeah, baking hot day, but better than raining. And yeah, a fabulous event. Well over 200, potentially, I think around 300 people attended. And yeah, a fabulous event. People from all over Dorset and people from around the country, people from London, people from Bristol, people from Manchester came down because they felt it's an important issue. You bring up a Dorset Eye article all about it. Tell us a bit about that, Jace.
Yeah, well, I think the Guardian covered it, but I don't think, not from my knowledge anyway, anybody else covered the event, even though there were some journalists there.
Including the Dorset Echo, who, despite numerous requests, seemingly refused to cover any issues to do with Drax and the things that he's hidden from the public. His failure to record things in the register of members' interest in the Commons, his failure to submit accounts to Companies House for 4 of his businesses over 11 years. This whole issue about the Drax Hall estate in Barbados and the widespread calls for him to do the right thing. The Echo, more than reluctant, they seemingly refused to cover any of that whilst giving him a weekly column.
Yeah, well, they're like conjoined twins, unfortunately, the Echo and Richard Drax. They weren't interested at all in the Labour MP that was in office in South Dorset between 2001 and 2010. But as soon as he stepped down and Richard Drax was elected, they were onto him like a rabbit down a hole and invited him to have a weekly column. I actually contacted him back in 2010 and offered to give an alternative voice, shall I say, and they said, "Oh, we're not interested at this time." And actually, it was part of one of the motivations behind creating Dorset Eye, because the Echo just seemed to be representing a very narrow, parochial, conservative viewpoint when it came to politics. And I felt that there were tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people in Dorset who would actually prefer to hear something quite different. But yes, ever since he was elected in 2010, unfortunately, the Echo and Richard Drax have not been serving the community democratically via their implementation of the media. And it's not really surprising, I suppose, because the Dorset Echo is owned by NewsQuest, it's a huge American corporation. They're not interested in anything other than the balance sheet, really.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, this is about reporting facts. We're not talking about reporting a different political point of view or opposition to Drax per se. This is just about reporting the facts, reporting the truth to the people of Dorset, as opposed to hiding the truth and the facts from the people of Dorset. That's what it's about.
Yes, of course. But facts are often inconvenient, aren't they, as we both know, Tom? And the ones that are inconvenient are the ones that are hidden. The ones that are perceived to be convenient are the ones that are thrust right into the forefront, into the vanguard, into our face. And that's, unfortunately, from the corporate media perspective, that's what they call democracy. They either show half of the coin and ignore the other half, or they denigrate the other half to make the other half appear much more majestic and much more legitimate, which is why we're here.
Indeed. And the article there, you just scanned through, scrolled through some of it for people to view. If you haven't seen it, great article on Dorset Eye that covers the event with video and photos and some description of what happened. There were fabulous speakers, you know, all sorts of different people, very, very knowledgeable people, historians, professors, you know, people with PhDs, far more knowledgeable than myself, who spoke, you know, with great knowledge and passion about the issue. And people, you know, ex-Lord Mayor of Bristol and Southwest leader of the Trade Unions Congress, and various other people, including people who were born and brought up in Barbados. So yeah, and you know, the call is not only for him to hand back the estate in Barbados, the Drax Hall estate. First of all, the call is for him to respond to the government of Barbados, who've asked for him to engage in a discussion. And up to now, he has refused to engage in a conversation with them about it. And it's just appalling that this ex-slavery plantation in Barbados, where the Drax family made their fortunes, 150 million the guy is worth now. And they made their fortunes and bought these huge areas of land and properties in the UK that he benefits from now, from the most barbaric and abusive slavery. You know, the kidnapping of enslaved people from Africa and barbaric use of them to create profit, and at the end of which, the end of slavery, the Drax family were paid a sum of money that in today's terms is worth £3 million. And of course, we all as taxpayers have been paying for that enormous bill up until 2015, so yes. Just 6 years ago. The bill for compensation paid to the slave owners, not to the slaves and their families, the former slaves, their families and ancestors to benefit from, but to the slave owners like the Drax family.
And this is actually
often we've been paying for in our taxes.
This is actually often misunderstood as well, because I mean, I've seen people on social media saying all the reparations were paying back the victims, and you know, many of us have had to point out that it simply wasn't the case. And they even give evidence via links to say, oh, you know, the reparations stopped in 2014. Stop obsessing yourself about history. You know, I've had to point out we actually haven't read your own link, because your own link clearly states that the reparations never went to the victims, they all went to the plantation owners. And it's exactly. Crazy. You know, people just go onto Google, see a headline, put it down there and say, here you are. And it proves our point, not theirs.
Yeah, hilarious. Weirdness. And I mean, it wasn't reparations, it was compensation to the former slave owners. Of course. Yes. Staggering. So, and to this day, of course, you know, the 621 acre estate with its sugar plantation in Barbados is still owned by the Drax family, was inherited by Richard Drax after his father passed away, and he profits from it. And it's just staggering in this day and age that this incredibly wealthy and privileged man who's an MP in South Dorset in England is still profiting personally, financially from this estate in Barbados. And when the government of Barbados are asking for it to be handed back essentially to the people of Barbados, so that the Drax Hall building can be used as an educational resource and museum, so that people in Barbados, young people particularly, can learn about their history and learn about slavery, and so that the sugar plantation, the profits from it, can go to benefit the people of the island, to be spent on hospitals and schools and services to support them, instead of into the pockets of this rich privileged man in Dorset in England. He refuses to even discuss the issue with them. So anyway, Saturday's event was I think very successful in that a large number of people turned out to say this is just wrong, and the time is up now for Drax to engage in that conversation and ultimately to hand that land over to the Barbadian government and people.
Yes, and to finish off as well, if he refuses to come to the table and refuses to negotiate, then I suspect it's probably come a time when the Barbadian government, the Barbadian people say, okay, well, we'll take it back anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite feasible. And to be honest, I think it's only a matter of time before he does the right thing. He'll either do the right thing or he'll be forced to, or maybe the Barbadian government will take the land, the people will take it. Who knows? I think eventually it'll happen. I just think the longer he waits to engage in that discussion and to do the right thing, the more embarrassing it'll be for him when he ultimately, or ultimately does it. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed then that he will see sense and